So I hope you were able to get your 3 media queries happening, and I hope you were able to test them, and I hope everything's working wonderfully on your side. This is really, really cool stuff. What I want to do here in this exercise, as I had mentioned just a moment ago, is I want to bounce a couple of techniques off of you just for simplifying everything here, because this does look a little bit complicated here, and it's only going to get more complex as we begin adding in more and more CSS rules to control our HTML structure, our HTML page. Okay, so in an effort to keep things nice and simple, nice and easy to follow, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring my cursor all the way up to the top of my external style sheet. I'm going to make use of CSS commenting to help me keep track of what's what. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go /*. This is how we type in a CSS comment. And I'm going to type in low resolution. And then maybe I'll do something like comma space, and then maybe some kind of a reminder note for myself, 480 px and below. Okay, something like that. And then I'll go, maybe I'll throw in a space there, and then */, something like this. So this comment here, this green comment as it appears in Coda for myself, relates to this guy here. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll drop my cursor between the low and the medium resolution media query, and maybe I'll hit enter maybe once or twice just to space them apart a little bit. And then I'll do something like this, /* medium, you get the idea here, resolution, and then comma space. And then maybe I'll do something like, let's see here, 481 px to 1023 px. Again, just to remind myself, I try to do myself favors like this. When I come back to this in 6 months, I might not remember exactly how I set everything up, right? So I try to leave myself little notes, little descriptions of what I've done. Let's do this one more time for the high resolution. So once again, / and then *, and then we'll go high resolution. And if I could spell resolution, there we go. And I'm going to say 1024 pixels and above. Okay, how's that? You can, of course, phrase this in any way that you like. Okay, all right, there we go. That makes things a little bit easier to follow. The other thing that I want to do is I want to break apart my media queries just a little bit. I said this earlier on, but I'll repeat it again. All of the CSS rules that we're going to have for each of the media queries are going to reside within that media query's pair of curly brackets. Okay, so each media query, as it stands right now, has one CSS rule, of course, the body with the background color. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to try and, again, sort of in an effort to keep things simplified, is I'm going to drop my cursor just before body, and I'm going to hit enter, maybe once, maybe twice, something like this. And then what I'll do is I'll bring my cursor just before the closing squiggly bracket. Now this gets a little tricky because we have the closing squiggly bracket for the CSS rule, okay, which contains all of the properties, and then we have the closing squiggly bracket for the media query itself. Okay, so make sure you're in front of the correct squiggly bracket, the outermost squiggly bracket, and maybe once again I'll hit enter a couple of times. Something like this, and then maybe I'll space apart my media queries, something like that. Okay, so all of the new CSS rules that I'm going to be creating are going to be going right alongside the existing CSS rule that we have for each of our media queries. Okay, now you don't have to do this, but I find that this makes it a little bit easier to sort of visually understand and sort of visually distinguish between all of my media queries. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that for my other media queries, my medium resolution and my high resolution. There we go, something like this. And by the way, the changes that we've made here have no impact on what's going on inside the browser, so there's no worries there. So this is how I like to try and keep myself organized with my CSS media queries.